Begin the Quran Daf Mesech Bava Metzia Daf Kufyud Gimel. We're 11 lines down for the top of the Amud, where the Gemara continues with the halacha that we were discussing previously of that of a mashkin and the parameters of the halacha. Shir Kaspan Bakazach in the Cheskot turns Daf Achim turns the Daf Shbir Schutz V'Chim and they saw in that Yisrael throughout the entire world. Some discuss in today's Daf are mashkin. When is someone allowed to seize collateral from a debtor, regarding from the guy's house or in the street, and who's allowed to do it? The halacha that when someone takes an erech vow, so we organize for him. We say, even though he owes hektish a certain amount of money, we give him certain basics, and how that halacha applies also to a creditor. Regarding selling it in court, there's many different opinions that hold that the Jewish people are princes, and therefore there's certain halachas that actually come out from that. So beginning current Daf Kufyud Gimel, beginning the Mishnah. It says the Mishnah, Malves Chaveroi. If someone lends his friend, then it's time and he didn't pay up yet. So the halacha is lo yimishkanenu. So he cannot take security, collateral, even in the street, ela bebezin. It's only permitted through the courts and not through the debtor himself. It's ela bebezin. Moreover, says the Mishnah further, lo yikanes lebeisa lito mashkani. Then I'll go into the guy's house to take collateral. The Gemara is going to explain who is it talking about. Is it the creditor? Is it the or is it the bezin itself? But they can't go into his house. It says that bachutz tamoid. You should be standing on the outside, and the person that your creditor by, says the pasuk, he'll bring the security out to you outside. Continues the Mishnah. Moreover, qualifying the halachas of mashkan, that hayuloi, if let's say the borrower had shnei kelim, two vessels, and the debt is equal to both those vessels. So the creditor takes both of them as security. Now, so what you do is like this. You take one and you leave one. Or as the Girsa Rashi has is umachzer echad. Meaning, when the debtor needs one of those items, you give it back to him because of the halacha that the pasuk talks about of giving back the avit, or giving back the security. But you hold on to the second one. And when he needs the second one, then you take back the first one, and you give back the second one, as the Mishnah continues to explain this halacha. Says the Mishnah, meaning, so let's say his pillows and blankets, you give him back that at nighttime. And the plow, you switch that off, and you give that to him during the daytime. Which Rabbi Tam has this whole discussion in Taisvis regarding what exactly are we dealing with a machreisha. Is that considered eichel nefesh or not? But Al Kapanim says the Mishnah further, v'emeis. Now, if the borrower died, eino machzer, you don't give back the security le'yershav to his inheritors, because there's no mitzvah of hashavas ha'avad to give back the security. You sell it and you collect your debt from it, because the pasuk says hashav tashivim loy. You give it back to him, to the borrower, and not to his inheritors. So once he dies, you could sell it already and collect your debt that way. He says, he says, even the guy himself, the borrower himself, you don't give it back. Only up until a period of 30 days, which is the time that the courts give. But after 30 days, you just sell the collateral and you collect your debt that way. Now, regarding the halacha of the Reisha, Amar Shmuel says,
okay, so you don't have to return it to the kids because they don't need to sleep on it. But how do you know that means the Yoshim don't get what they deserve? It's for them.
But if you're never returning it because you don't give it back, so then it's yours. Meaning, no, but saying Hashat Shivim Loi means you give back, it means you're never giving it back. Yes, so whenever it is, that's when you give it back. But by the inheritors, even if they need it, you don't give back the pillow at night time, right? Hashem Shibim Loi is only to him when he needs it. The inheritors, when they need it, you don't give it back. So then you're never giving it back. When are you giving it back? When they pay, exactly. So then fine. But as I'm saying, I'm not waiting for that. I don't have to.
It doesn't have to wait.
Right. I'm saying there's no necessity of that, because it's already like a payment essentially. You want to say you want back. It's considered shvach beis aviho. So you want to get it back, fine. But So Amar Shmuel qualifies the Reish of the Mishnah. He says, Shlich Bezdin, an agent of the court, menatech nituchi in. He's allowed to do nituach, which literally means to say like to cut, but it's also related to a nituk of like to remove. That a Shlich Bezdin is allowed to do. Of mashkoine loy. I mean, like Rashi explains, even the Shlich Bezdin is not allowed to go into the house and take collateral. Rather, if he sees the debtor in the street, he's allowed to be menatik or menatich. He's allowed to take away the thing that is holding from him. But to actually go into his house and to take stuff as collateral, that you're not allowed to do. Says the Gemara, really? What not? Let's read our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said, if someone lends his friend, Loy mishkeneno el bebezdin, you're not allowed to take a mashkin. It could only be done through the courts. Now, machlad the inference is bebezdin mashkinin, which Rashi says the word mashkin sounds like you're going into the guy's house and you're taking collateral. So how could Shmuel say that even the courts are not allowed to? Shmuel said to him, no, say, lo yinescheno el bebezdin. It's not really a mashkeneno. It means you're not allowed to go ahead and do this nituach only in bezdin, which Taisus div masle ema on the bottom says harino nituach is also even for the creditor. The reason says actually midrabanan, as the Gemara is going to say shortly, that the reason why Bachlev cannot even take what he finds in the street, forget about going to the guy's house, is exactly that he might go into the guy's house. And that's what saying that the courts could do this nituach, but that's only what they could do. They can't go into the guy's house. And the Gemara says it's logical like this because they're telling Sefer. The Sefer the Mishnah said, and we said it as already in the Mishnah from Rashi that we're going to explain who it's going on. It says in the Mishnah, you're not going to the debtor's house to take security. Come into the house, start taking away pillows and blankets. You can't do that. Now, Mani, who is that going on? If it's going on the creditor himself, I already know that from the Reisha. You already told me that it's Ela Bezdin. So I'd rather obviously say no. Who can't go into the house? That's a Shlich Bezdin. Because even the Shlich Bezdin says Shmuel, and that's what the Mishnah is saying like this, that he cannot also be Mamashkin. He can only be Menatech. He can only take away what he sees the guy holding in the street. It says, no, Imisham Hav, that's you're going to be your proof, La Iri. That's not a proof. Because Hachikama, you can read the Mishnah in a way that does not support Shmuel. You can read it, Hamalbas Chaveira, if someone lends his friend, Lo Yimishkin and Il Bebezin, you're not allowed to take a mashkin. It's only through the court. The inference is mashkin, not like Shmuel, that the courts actually could go into the guy's house and take security. Now you would have to read the words like this. And the creditor, afilo nituche namiloi, that even nituach, even just taking away, he cannot, as a gezerah, she'lo yikonis lebeis elita mashkan, that he should not go into the guy's house to take his mashkin, which the bottom Taisus, there seems to have been the girsa that chasur mechser b'chiktani, like as if, and essentially that's really what the Gemara is saying, like this word's missing, and you have to say that it's going back on the Baal Chayv himself, which Taisus says is such a mud nazach. We usually don't try to say chasur mechser at all, only when we have to, and here we're saying it to reject Shmuel's interpretation. So Taisus, I haven't been concerned because it's not really been Magiyah so much, and most Svarm, as our Gemara, is not goyris towards chasur mechser. It's just saying you could read it like that, but therefore, again, there would not be a raya to Shmuel. But the Gemara says, Maser Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef asked on Shmuel from a pasuk in Devarim. The pasuk says, Lo yachavoil. If a person is coming to take security on his debt in Bezdin, he should not take a mashkin by things that you make oichel nefesh with, which the pasuk defines as richayim, which that's the bottom part of the mill. Verdechev is the upper part that rides on top of it. So the inference is hadvar macher mechavel. But other things, you could take as security. So too, there's a pasuk later on that says, don't take the garment of a widow as security. The inference is, but other people. Tachvel, you could take as security. Now, the question is, man, who is taking the security? Everything is the creditor. It says in the pasuk, and I'll come to his house to take security. And love, isn't it saying, shlich bezdin? Because as Rashi explains, the word chavela, which is what the pasuk is saying of leisachvel and loyachvel, sounds like for the person's house. And the reason why, says Rashi, proof is because Rechaim Berechev, the guy's not carrying in the street. There's a mill inside his house. So you see that the Shlich Bezin is allowed to go into the guy's house, not like Shmuel. Says the Gemara, Tigam Rav Papa, Reid Rav Nachman, Commander Rav Yosef. Some says Rav Papa, Reid Rav Yosef, Commander Rav Yosef. Loilam B'Bal Chayv. No, the truth is that the pasuk is talking the creditor. But the question we had was, what? So only this? the creditor can't, but it would sound like other garments you would be able to, which is not true, we said, because in that we know for sure the creditor can't. The child was regarding Shlich Bezin. Says the Gemara, no. Don't make the diak that by other vessels that he would be allowed to, because other vessels he would also violate Lo Yavel Beisai. So what was the necessity of then talking about a Rechaim and Rechev regarding Beged Almana? Oh, that's the reason why we needed that was to add on V'lavala B'shnei Lavin, to say that not only does he violate Lo Yavel Beisai, he's also violating for Rechaim and Rechev and one for Lo Yavel Beisai. But not that it's Tomash Shlich Bezin, because it wouldn't prove anything regarding this halacha of Shlich Bezin. It could be right. Shlich Bezin is not allowed to go in. It's just adding on another lav besides for that of Lo Yavoi al Beisai. This is like a Tashma. It's going to try to bring another raya, not like Shmuel. Mimash Mishanemar, the Brisa says, from the fact that it says in the pasuk B'chutz Tamoid that he should be standing on the outside, and like the pasuk says that then your debtor is going to bring the security to you outside. So, any did, don't I know that the guy that you're collecting from, he's going to bring it out? Who else is going to bring it out if not the balabais? So what does the pasuk teach me when it says v'ho'ish, and the man that you're trying to collect from is going to take it out? The word v'ho'ish, says the Bryce, is l'rabbi shlich bezin, coming to include the agent of the court. Says the Gemara, my love, isn't this what the Bryce is saying? Is shlich bezin kaleiva? That the agent of the court is like the borrower, meaning that he could go into the house, and that's what the pasuk is saying. Voyish, and the man, meaning the shlich bezin, and the person ashata noishabai, yotzei lech, will bring it out to you. So seemingly see, again, not like Shmuel, we see that the shlich bezin is allowed to go into the court, into the guy's house to collect. So continue to it says, no, you're reading the pasuk differently. Loi, shlich bezin kemalva. To the contrary, the pasuk is saying that the agent of the court is like the lender, and the pasuk is saying like this: Ba'chutz tamid. That's like what we have over here, the picture over here, like which the word for ish, which half of the pasuk is it going on, is what the Havamina and the Maskan of the Gemara is going on. Is that saying Ba'chutz tamid, stand on the outside, you and ish, which we're saying is the shlich bezin, period. But asher ata naishabai, the guy that you collected from, he'll bring it out to you. So it's not necessarily a raya, not like Shmuel. It could be that it's actually like Shmuel, and it's saying that he's exactly like you, and just like you cannot go in, so too the shlich bezin cannot go in. Gemara says, okay, Tashma, Gemara tries to bring another raya, not like Shmuel. The pasuk says in Shemais, that if you're going to take as collateral your friend's garment, so it says in the pasuk, when the sun comes, you have to return it to him. Now, says the Brisa, the pasuk is talking about who took this security. It's talking about by the agent of the court. Says the Brisa, are you saying that it's really talking about an agent of the court? Maybe it's talking about that it's from the creditor himself. No, when the pasuk says you're not come to his house to take security. So that's already we know about regarding the creditor that he's not allowed to. How did you ever have that you took security of your friend's garment? Must be talking about by an agent of the court, meaning that he's allowed to go in to take the security. And that's what the pasuk is saying. Through shlich bezin, then make sure you return it when he needs it. So you see that he's allowed to go into the guy's house, not like Shmuel. Says the Gemara, Tanoi. It's a machlekes that Tanoim. The Tan like Linda Brisa. Shlich bezin shabal mashkanoi. When the agent of the court is coming to take security, the halacha is lo yikanis lebeis lamashkanoi. He's not allowed to come into his house to take security. Ela oimid mibachutz. Rather, he stands on the outside. The guy brings out to him the security. Says that's the way he's reading it, the way we said, which is how Shmuel holds. That you stand on the outside, and the man, which is Shlich Bezin, he also has to stand on the outside. But you're right, there are Tanaim that are not like Shmuel. The Tani, they're another Brisa. A creditor that's coming to collect the security. Like Kanis the base Lamashkin, he's not allowed to come into the house to take the collateral. Stand on the outside. And the debtor himself goes into his house and brings out his pillows and blankets. Like it's in the pasuk, you stand on the outside. But the shliach business this is the bright knowledge more. The Asian court that goes to get the collateral. He could go into the house and take the guy as a mash, the guy's stuff as a mashkins. Now, but qualifies the brisa. But you're not allowed to take a mashkin things that are used for eichel nefesh, for food necessities, which the Gemara later on the Kovtezvav Maraf learns out from ribui of kinefesh uchayvel, that you're taking the guy's life when you're taking the collateral, you're not allowed to. So therefore, things that are related to food, that you're not allowed to. That's what Taisa was busy with the Mishnah on Amar Aleph that says that regarding the machreisha, you give him back. There was a question: how was he allowed to take it? What type of machreisha is it? Regarding is that considered as eichel nefesh or not? But you can't take things relating to food production. Now the brisa continues. Once we're discussing regarding the parameters of the halacha of a mashkin, so the brisa qualifies how you take care of the guy that you're taking security from. So as the brisa says, v'naisin, you give to the borrower, you're not take everything away from him for debt collection. You give him a mita umita, a bed and a bed, which the Gemara later on is going to explain. He needs one bed to eat on, and he needs one bed to sleep on. And umatzah, he also needs the bedspread of felt, which is in place where they don't have blankets. And that's la'asher for a wealthy person who is accustomed to having like a bedspread. But mitu umapitz la'ani. A poor person, you give the two beds and you give a mapitz, which is according to what he's accustomed, which is like made out of reeds, a more inferior type of a bedspread, which the Gemara in Erechin, in Daf Chavdal, darshans the pasuk by Erechin, which is a type of a vow that a person takes, that it says if he's poor from the erech evaluation that you're making from him, which the Gemara darshans hechyeu me'erkecha. What does that mean to say? That if the treasurer comes to take collateral, if the guy who took the erech vow can't afford to pay up, so he gets go evaluate what we call heseg yad. It's a longest sliding scale according to what the guy's, like it says, Be'midlov ne'akoin, the pasuk B'yikach of Zayin says, you put the guy up in front of the kohen and they evaluate him. And the kohen leaves him kadei chayav according to what he needs to survive, and then the rest is what he takes, and he fulfills his hekdesh obligation. Now, even a wealthy person, after they evaluate him, they take what he has, and from there we also learn out for a Baal Chayv, the same halacha, that we leave him kadei chayav, as the Gemara says later on of Kuf Yudal, in the next daf, they will learn out micha, it says over there micha, it says over here micha, meaning it says machu. So we learn out that same thing over here, that okay, we leave him proportionally with what he needs. Now, says the Brisa further, loy, it's for him himself that you have to give a bed, for the borrower, for the debtor. But not for his wife, not for his sons and daughters, because hechayeyu is what it says. And it's not incumbent upon the lender to be responsible to take care of this guy's whole family. It's for the borrower himself. Moreover, says the Brisa, just like we organize for the creditor, that we evaluate to leave him according to what he needs to survive, like the pasuk says, "V'herecha Yisai," which is this like idea of we evaluate, we organize for him. So too we organize by the halachas of Erechin vow. The guy takes a vow to leave him according to what he needs, which the Gemara actually says, "Klapelai," which direction you're going. It considered the primary halacha of organizing, making sure the guy has his basic necessities, actually is the other way around. Be'erechin siv, as we just said, we explained before. We learned out Baal Chai from Erechin. So the Gemara says, Elayim, rather, say it the other way around. Just like we organize that the guy, that what he needs is that regarding his assessment to collect Erechin, when he has a pledge to pay hectares, the predetermined values of one's own worth, especially by the Torah based on Asian gender, we leave him with what he needs. The same thing is by a debtor, that we're not going to take everything away from him when they're taking collateral. You have to leave the borrower with his necessities. So now the Gemara explains the Brisa. Amamar, you said noisin mitu matzla asher. For a wealthy person, you have to leave two beds with a felt spread, and mitu mapis lani. And when it comes to a poor person, you leave a mat. Again, it depends on what the debtor is accustomed to using. So the Gemara says, Laman, for whom is the second bed for? If one bed's for him, and the other bed, when you go on vacation, you tell your wife she could sleep with all the kids, that's what the second bed is for. Amrit, but you already said in the brisa, no. You said loy, you said that we're only leaving for him, not for his wife and family. So what would the second bed be for? Ella rather says individual is the day. You're right, both beds are for him. Why doesn't he two beds? Says one is the bed. Again, in Talmudic times, they ate on couches, which many people like sleeping on couches. That's one bed. One is one that he sleeps on. And one is that he actually goes to sleep on. What's the point of having the one bed of eating and one bed of sleeping? Because Shmuel, it's not like you can't have crumbs in your bed. Many people eat in their bed. It says, Kalmili, everything he says, Yidana Asusayu. Shmuel was a doctor. Says, everything I know how to heal it. Labar Mahani Tlas, except for these three things. What's these three things that he couldn't heal? Man da ochel ahina merida, someone who eats a bitter date, a liberekana on an empty stomach. That's one thing. Man da aser misna the kisna retiva achartse, someone who wraps a moist rope of flax around his waist. And the third one was a man da ochel nama, whoever someone eats bread, and he doesn't walk 4 amas before he goes to sleep. So therefore, we give him a second bed, and we put at a distance of 4 amas from where he ate. So by default, he'll get used to getting up and walking to go to bed, and he won't sleep on the bed that he ate. So Tati, Friday night, when he eats too much challah and he falls asleep, you have to make sure at least he walks to the couch, walks those dalet amas, because these are from the 3 things that Shmuel said, I don't know how to heal such a thing, and that's why we give him 2 beds, simply for this idea to get up 4 amas, so that when he conks out, he won't have this illness that Shmuel says he does not know how to heal. There was a teacher of Bryce that taught in front of Rav Nachman that said, just like we organize the guy to make sure he has enough, what he needs when we value him for erech, so we organize this by a creditor. So on that, Amalei, Rav Nachman asks on this. He says, how's that possible? Hashtiv now, zavune mizavninale. We said that after 30 days, even the vessels that he needs, because that's what we said, that up until now, we were saying that you give it back to him when he needs it. On that we said that after 30 days, you sell it. So even the pillows and the blankets that he has, we sell. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure from the money, we're going to leave him that he could have clothing for 12 months the way we do by Erechin? How could that be? If we said even what he does need, we still after 30 days. Now we're going to go ahead and make a gemachva, make a fund for him, a keren for this guy, this borrower, to make sure he has for the next 12 months. So the Gemara says, what, do we really sell his collateral? But if it's not, we learned in the Mishnah that says not like that. It said, Machzaz a karbalayli, give back his blankets at nighttime. Give back the plows during the daytime. So the Gemara says, no, Tana, Tana Kameh, that he taught him like a B'Shim Gamliel in front of Rav Nachman. And this is what he was telling him. How could this, according to B'Shim Gamliel, it doesn't make sense. Because B'Shim Gamliel, Zabunim Mizamninale, he says that in our Mishnah, that you sell it after 30 days. So you think we're going to now be Masada for the guy to make sure he has a Karen for the next 12 months? There's nothing in the Mishnah. B'Shim Gamliel says, forget about the Yershin. Even the guy himself, you don't give it back. Until 30 days. After that, you sell in court. So therefore, that was his difficulty with the Brisa. But the Gemara says that what was Rav Nachman's difficulty? Who said that when Shmuel says that you sell it after 30 days? Who said that legamri kamar? Who said that it was totally that you're not going to leave over for the borrower what he needs, which is the halacha misadrin, even in constricted format, which is what he needs for the next 12 months, that you're asking and saying, how could this work according to Gamliel? If you even sell it after 30 days, how can you say we're making a keren for the guy up until 12 months? What's the difficulty? That's not necessarily a contradiction. Maybe what Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg was saying was like this. R Shloimy up until 30 days, give it back as it is, which is that it's in its chashivas, meaning if, let's say, he has an expensive silk garment. So yeah, for 30 days you give it back as it is. The guy keeps his fancy schmancy suit and shades and whatever, all that stuff. Kama elech afterwards, this guy who owes a lot of people money. Okay, you give him back what he needs. The guy needs to survive also. But you sell his expensive, high quality Egyptian cotton and his Malaysian silk or whatever this and that, wool, and you give him a basic one, like we all wear, Target pants or whatever, of wool or canvas or whatever. And maybe that's what Rabbi Shloimy means. Up until 30 days, you give him back his expensive stuff, his fancy $300,000 car. After you give him back a nice Honda Accord like the rest of us, and you give him that back. But it's not going to be a steer then. You could say that masajin, and you could still say that you take a sell after 30 days. Says Gemara, no. If you would think to say that Rabbi Shloimy holds of this logic that you're saying of masajin al-bachayim, that you do make sure that you take care of him for the next 12 months, then there is nothing that's not fit for him, even in a basic no frills way, once he's accustomed to it. Because as the Gemara is going to quote right now, he holds, as many other opinions hold, that all the Jewish people are princes. And since he's a prince, there's nothing that's not suitable for him. And therefore, if you were being masad of him, he'd be able to keep his tank, the Tesla, whatever it is that he has that he needs. That would be his basic. That would be masaj in the b'chayv. Because the Abai says, Shmuel, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva, Kulis Rilu, they all hold Kol Yisrael b'nei Malachim. All the Jews are princes, and this is for a prince. It's a basic necessity, as the Gemara explains. Rabbi Shmuel, who we were just explaining, that was Rabbi Nachman's difficulty. He said you can't teach that according to Rabbi Shmuel because he holds b'nei Yisrael Malachim heim, and therefore if you hold masajin, that wouldn't make sense because he says you sell it after 30 days, and you can't say this mitlagang because there is no constricting him. There's not like learn the Mishnah Masechta Shabbos. Mishnah says that lo yasaluf, which luf is a type of like a bean, which is not fit to eat as it's raw, even for birds. V'lo yasachardel, and not mustard seed. You're not allowed to move them on Shabbos because they're not fit for today. Not for cooking, which you now do on Shabbos. Not for grinding, which you now do on Shabbos. So these stuff are muktzah. Shmuel says, no, this loaf bean is permitted to move, and it's not muktzah. Nation Michael Arvin, because it's food that's given for ravens. So what shaykh is? Who has a raven? So a Jew might own the ravens, but the Jews are princes, and they actually will have ravens for beauty and for games and for entertainment. So, but that's only by princes. Yeah, Shmuel holds that you saw b'nei malachim. They have these types of expensive toys.
Everybody could have it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. No, it's not because a Jew.
Why I don't have it?
No, you don't have to have it. That's because although only wealthy people keep ravens as pets, Shmuel holds all Yidden are treated as royalty. Punk don't have a raven right now, but for me it's a pasya, and therefore it's not going to be considered as muktzah. So again, that's Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon, where do we find he says the same principle? They're not like in the Mishnah Masechta Shabbos that b'nei malachim, princes, sachin shem and vered, they could smear rose oil al gabe makasein b'Shabbos on their wounds on Shabbos. Shekin derech darkan lasach b'chol, because it's normal for a prince to take expensive rose oil without any wound to smear himself with this oil. So when he has a makkah, it's not evident that he's doing it for healing purposes, because the Rabbanan were geyser that you can't do anything that's medicinal because you might come to grind herbs to make it. But if it's something that you namal do, it's a normal thing that you do even without, So that's not considered as evidence that like you're allowed to have a glazel tea because it's not evident. But if you didn't, it would be evident. You're gargling something. That would be prohibited. So saying for princes, for them to put on this oil, even though it's expensive, a regular person would never use it because it's so expensive. For him, it's evident he's doing it for refuah purposes. A prince, it's not evident because he does it even without a makkah. Shimon says, no, call Yisrael b'nei malachim. All Jews are princes. And therefore, every Jew could go ahead, even though he's an ani be'evi, and he would take some like that little bit of that rose oil he saves onto it like it's like a gold, and he puts it on that wound. He's allowed to because every Jew is a prince. And Bishmov Rabbi Kiva, the time like learn the Brisa, where do they say this principle? If there's a guy that they were trying to collect from 1,000 zuz, he was wearing a fancy custom-made suit, which is not so fancy anymore because everyone does it, but he has this 100 mana jacket. So the halach is mafshit menu. You could strip it off from him to pay back the creditor his debt. Mabish might say it's larula. You give him a jacket that's fitting for him. Don't you got the money got to your head, and you could wear a regular jacket also from the right place like the rest of us. But Shmuel and Bekiva, the Brisa teaches no. Kol Yisrael ruin loisa itzla. Every Jew is fit to have this custom-made Armani. I don't know if it's possible you have custom from Armani, but whatever it is, and therefore you can't take it away from him because this is basic for him. But again, Al Kapanim, the main point we wanted from this was that we see that what Bavid Rav Nachman was, that according to Shimon Gamliel, you can't have both teachings. And that's what bothered him. You can't say that Shimon Gamliel, Mishnah says after 30 days, you take it away from him. But you want to tell me that he holds Mesad B'Chayiv, which means you make sure for the next 12 months he's going to have his basics. That's a contradiction. Why is it a contradiction? Why don't you say, yeah, you take away after 30 days these expensive stuff, these items that he has, and you downgrade him to the basics? No, because Shimon holds that everything is basic for the Jew. All the pitch of kids, all these things, the highfalutin, whatever. This is basic, and therefore there would be no middle ground, and therefore that's why he didn't agree that it's possible to say Shimon Gamliel. Now the Gemara asks parenthetically, this that we originally had entertained to say. The Yoivle, my Dechazile, we thought in our question we wanted to propose that maybe you'll give him what he needs. We'll sell off his expensive assets and what he doesn't need. So the Gemara says, Bishlam, I understand the pillows and the blankets we learned in the Mishnah. I understand what Rabbi Shloimy means to say that you sell it. And Chazile, the Beini, meaning which is that you buy something at cheaper quality, and the difference is what the creditor is going to get. But the Mishnah, one of the cases Mishnah spoke about was the plow. That Shmuel says that you sell it. Lamai chazi. What is there a difference in selling with the plow that he had? We're not going to buy him a cheap plow. It doesn't work as well. So what does that mean? What does it fit? What's that difference that you want to sell after 30 days? Which you want to say doesn't really mean sell. It means only to sell to get him a cheaper one. So Amar Rav Barabi says, yeah, machresh de kaspa. Now the simple translation would sound like the guy used a silver plow. That's really like, they say the silver spoon, the guy's using a silver plow. So Taisa says, Naman Aleph, that nobody used silver plows because that wouldn't really work so well. So Taisa says it's referring to, which actually some Gemaras bring on the side from the Aruch also, it's a type of a comb, which is really what a plow is. They're like these fork-shaped tools that basically a guy in the bathhouse, you can't reach there in the back, and you want to scrape there a little bit, in middle of the back. So you take that silver machresha, but it doesn't really mean that. So that's what we're saying. You would sell this silver machresha, you get him a regular nebuch, a metal one, a plastic one. There's that, so you wouldn't have his malucha anymore. That's what we had entertained to say, but we said we couldn't say that because Shmuel holds that every Jew is a prince, and you can't do that. But Maskel Rav Chaga asks on this halacha, a general that we're talking about of being mesadir l'bachayiv, v'lei malei. Why can't the lender tell the borrower, lavalai karamis? It's not my responsibility to take care of you. So Taisus is bothered, and what's the Gemara's question? He's saying the Gemara is not asking on the Mishnah, why do you give him back his pillows and blankets? Which it sounds like that's what the Gemara is asking. He said, Man shield, I have to take care of your family because you punked owe me $1 million loan? Why do I have to be Mesadil al-Bachab? Why do I have to make sure you guys are okay? I'm not the whole community. Like to come on, the community, make a Karen for you. So he says, no, because then why would the Gemara wait till here? Moreover, why do you need to have a reason for what Hashem says? It's a pasuk in the Torah. Yeah, we're going to start asking Shilas on the Torah? Moreover, you think the Gemara in Havamin doesn't know what the Gemara is about to answer, that it says in the Torah, that it's your obligation of charity? So he says, no, obviously the Gemara knew this pasuk, and even so it was asking. So then what's the Gemara's answer? Says Taisus, the Gemara's questions on Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel. They say, Kol Yisrael b'nei Malachim, all Jews are princes, and therefore if the guy has a $200,000 car, and the guy has a $5 million home, you're telling me that okay, you can't take it away, because every Jew's a prince, and he needs his 4 homes, and he owes people millions of dollars. You can't take it away because he's a prince. That's the Gemara's question. I don't understand. Since he's only wearing this clothing for honor, for beauty, why should we say that was all imposed from the pasuk on the lender? But the pasuk does not say that explicitly. It's not appropriate to be on the lender more than any other person, because the guy could have a regular suit, he could have a regular home, he could have a regular car. And that's what the Gemara is answering. Normally, Abai, as we continue top of Kofir Dalman Aleph, Ivra, the truth is, yes, Alei Karami. This responsibility of even his fancy clothing is also his responsibility. That should be for him tzedakah. Because the pasuk makes the responsibility of tzedakah to go for this debtor specifically on him, as the last words of Taisus on the previous Amid said, "V'hitul lavakasav shloy lemnoya mimenu." You, the lender, cannot hold back from the bar hanoi, the beauty, v'kavod, and the honor, v'atainug, and the pleasure. The guy he always takes vacation, he always has these stuff. That's his basic, and that you cannot take that away. Mishum shenema, like the pasuk says in Devarim, that you shall surely return. It says Hashab Tashabas Abid shall surely return the guy his security, and it says Luchati tzedakah. For you, it's going to be considered tzedakah. Yeah, lucha. The pasuk is saying the tzedakah of even his high standards is your responsibility, and that's what the Gemara is answering, and that's why we're masad and b'chayiv, to make sure the guy has his basics, and you can't take that away. Think to any time those things.